Hello, this is NEWSPLUS on Viewer Television. My name is Joy Malik. Well, many thanks for joining us. Some deposit money banks on Saturday opened their branches to customers for the purpose of collecting old 500 naira and 1000 naira notes for deposits into their accounts. Now, this was contrary to the claim by the Central Bank of Nigeria that it did not instruct the banks to continue to collect the old notes from depositors. On Friday, newsmen reported that the CBN had ordered banks to start collecting the old 500 and 1000 naira notes from members of the public and pegged the maximum amount they could collect from individuals at 500,000 naira. The CBN swiftly issued a counter statement signed by the Director, Corporate Communications or CETA, saying it did not give such a directive. Still on the new naira notes, the Socio-Economic Rights and Accountability Project has filed a lawsuit against President Muhammadu Buhari over the unlawful directive banning the use of old 500 and 1000 naira banknotes. Contrary to the interim injunction granted by the Supreme Court that the old 200 and 500 naira and 1000 naira notes remain legal tender. Joining the lawsuits as defendants are the Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice Abubakar Malami and the Central Bank of Nigeria. Well, newsmen reports that the Supreme Court, in a case initially brought by Penn State recently, held that the old banknote remained legal tender pending the determination of a motion on notice fixed for February 22nd. The deadline for the swap of the old note expired February 10th. However, Buhari, in a national broadcast on Thursday, directed the CBN to recirculate only the old 200 banknotes, banning the use of 500 naira and 1000 naira old notes in the country. Now let's take it to Kano State, where Bayero University Kano has expelled 27 students and rusticated 8 others for their alleged involvement in examination misconduct. Now, this is contained in a statement signed by the Director of Directorate of Examinations, Admissions and Records, Amina Abdullahi, and issued to newsmen on Sunday. According to the statement, the summer decision was in accordance with the categories of the University's general regulations. The statement added that 22 other students were, however, warned by the Senate. Now, moving over to the 2023 general elections, British High Commissioner to Nigeria, Katrina, has urged political parties to accept and respect the results of the forthcoming 2023 general elections and refrain from actions that would instigate post-election violence. Katrina made this known while addressing newsmen in Abuja, noting that the United Kingdom is fully in support of Nigeria's political process. Katrina urged candidates and political parties to resort to the judiciary if they feel the process was not fair enough and wish to contest the results.
Commissioner to Nigeria has urged political parties to accept and respect the results of the forthcoming 2023 general election and refrain from actions that would instigate post-election violence. The British envoy, while addressing newsmen in Abuja, urged candidates and political parties to rather resort to the judiciary to contest results. She said that following her engagement with the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, the UK government is confident of the process. The British envoy said that President Muhammadu Buhari had also said on countless occasions that handing over to a successor through a peaceful election would be his biggest legacy.
The election in Nigeria is really important, not just for all of you as Nigerian citizens, but for this region, West Africa, where sadly we've seen quite a lot of democratic backsliding, for Africa as a whole and for the world. The world's eyes will be on Nigeria, are on Nigeria, and what happens here will send a very strong signal. So in the run-up to this election, and indeed following the last election, and I was here for the last...
The British envoy also noted that the elections was not only important to Nigeria, but West Africa and the rest of the world, especially with the backsliding of democracy and the West African sub-region. Now let's take a look at Borno APC rally and how the APC presidential candidate of the All Progressive Congress, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, has promised to revive the economy of Borno State and support victims of insurgency if elected president. Tinubu stated this when he, his vice and other party faithful visited Maiduguri for their rally on Saturday. Beatrice Gracie has the rest of the story.
The streets of Maiduguri metropolis was agog as supporters of the APC came out in their numbers for the APC presidential rally of Tinubu and Shetima in Borno State. To many, this was not unexpected as Borno is the home state of Kashim Shetima, the vice presidential candidate of the APC. The party flag bearer and officials of the party paid a courtesy call on the Shehu of Borno.
With regard to the oil exploration, the other time we are told that there have been an oil and all this is and something has to be done about it in earnest. But not at all. For whatever reason we don't know, that project was abandoned in the name of security. Okay, people have security problem here. What of the other places of the country?
Meanwhile, the El Kanami Sports Center was filled with thousands of supporters and party faithful from across the state. Governors of Jigawa, Kebbi, Niger, Kano, and the national chairman, among others, were in attendance. Apart from the will of God, nothing will deprive us of victory in the election. In fact, with the votes from Jigawa, Borno, Kano, Katsina, we will defeat them next Saturday. We will provide jobs for our youth and we will recharge an oil exploration in Lake Chad Basin. The APC presidential candidate said he will revamp the economy, bring development in the country, and assured that his government will give succor to Borno indigenes who have suffered deprivation from insurgency.
You have faced challenges. That is over now. You have suffered deprivation. You have suffered homelessness. Some people created orphans. We will take care of all of you.
The party also received the campaigns from the NNPP, PDP and SDP. As the campaigns are drawing to a conclusion, Nigerians are hopeful that whoever becomes the president will address critical sectors of the nation to give Nigerians a better life.
You're still watching News Plus on Vivo Television. Let's go on a quick break and when we return, News Plus continues. So stay tuned.
The story of a charmer and his crush.
Before you came round, I was ready to slow down. Before you came round, I was heading for a small disaster. Before you came round, I was ready to blow me down.
Tat Fragrance, the new luxury fragrance for men and women.
Welcome back. Here it is joining us. This is NEWSPLUS and Viewer Television. Now let's take a look at security challenges and how Governor Mimi Masoi of Katsina State has identified security challenges as the major factor responsible for low performance in the areas of infrastructure development by governors in the Northwest. Masoi spoke in Katsina, the state capital, when members of federal government implementation monitoring committee and projects executed in the state paid him a courtesy visit. The governor said state government in the region were committing huge amounts of money for logistics support to security agencies and local vigilante group battling bandits in the region. Masari maintained that his administration had a comprehensive record of its expenditure on the project executed, infrastructure developments, and on security from 2015 to date. Now, the Apex Evil Social Cultural Organization Ohaneze Indiku Worldwide has asked the Inspector General of Police Usman Baba to speed up the investigation into the allegations against some senior police officers serving at the Zone 13 Command UPO and the Anambra State Police Command. These follow allegations published by a blog identifying the one CSP Patrick, the officer in charge of the Rapid Response Squad in the command, has been a member of a syndicate involved in the alleged kidnapping, torture, and murder of citizens. The public relations officer of the Zone 13 headquarters, OPO, SP Wonde, and Inspector Harrison Akama, who is attached to the IRS in the states, were also fingered, as well as a former governor of the state and a popular billionaire. The leprosy nation Nigeria has scaled up its intervention for 2023 in the country. Now, this is to ensure that children and young persons with disabilities are fully included in the society without any form of discrimination. Jika Ahmad Barura, the senior program officer, made this known at the opening of the nation's 2023 Partners Inception meeting in Abuja. Ahmad Barura noted that inclusion of children and young PWDs must go beyond paperwork to implementation.
Explain that adopting the rights-based approaches would enable persons with disabilities, including children, their caregivers, and families, to build resilience and actively participate in the socio-economic aspects.
This inception meeting and kickstart is important because it drives the process for change and also getting government participation and support towards issues around disability. We say again and again that it must be an inclusive society, but not an inclusive society on paper. An inclusive society in the sense that everybody matters irrespective of their disability. We want to see a Nigeria where children with special needs have access to education and educational support, in the sense that our classrooms also have supplies that we're able to enable children with disability read and understand. After all, when it
Meanwhile, Dr. Masoud Gwazo, the Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development, who was represented by Chidera, Assistant Chief Social Welfare, reiterated the federal government's support to the leprosy mission in achieving its mandate.
By Mr. Chidera Ahoto, Assistant Chief Social Welfare, reiterated the federal government's support to the leprosy mission to achieve its mandate.
We will continue to partner with the Leprosy Mission Nigeria. We'll continue to strengthen our relationships and our collaborations. And we urge all the participants, the shortlisted partners, to put in everything to ensure that this 2023 inclusion program of the Leprosy Commission is successful as usual with the activities of the Leprosy Commission.
Now, the president of the Coalition of Societies for the Rights of Older Persons in Nigeria, Senator Eze Ajuku, says exercises and eating rights are major keys to good and healthy living. Ajuku stated this during a novelty football match between Team Kosoropin and Youngsters as a post-Valentine celebration in Abuja. According to him, the secret of healthy living is regular exercise and eating rights.
Say Adroko, President, Coalition of Societies for the Rights of Older Persons in Nigeria, COSROPEN, says exercises and eating right are keys to good and healthy living. Adroko said this during a novelty football match between Team COSROPEN and Young Stars as a post-Valentine celebration in Abuja.
As a diabetic, I know my life depends on it. I exercise, I eat right, and I try to discipline myself, and the things that diabetics should avoid, I try to avoid them. So that is what has made me fit, and the other is the grace of God upon my life. So my encouragement to older persons of all ages is that they should learn to exercise all the time.
Also, retired Colonel Paul Omero, a former military administrator of Kogi State, emphasized the imperatives of exercise, especially to older persons. He said that sports is the antidote to body fatigue and all manner of sicknesses, urging his colleagues to embrace exercise.
Learn to exercise all the time.
Similarly, retired Colonel Paul Omero, former military administrator of Kogi, emphasized the imperative of exercise, especially to older persons. Omero said that's antidote to body fatigue and all manner of sickness, urging his colleagues to embrace exercise.
The game of football requires a lot of physical fitness, and that's what you have seen that was exhibited today. And we are asking everybody to join us in keeping fit, even as we age along, and it's very, very important. So we should take home that aspect of everyone knowing that he should keep fit.
The Journalism International Academy has canvassed for the development and reorientation of children's mind towards having a positive approach that would lead to nation building. Now, the Deputy Head School Administration James Ali said this at the school's annual education fair in Abuja. Ali said that the education fair was apt as it would help add value to the generality of the people.
The Deputy Head of School Administration, Gliston International Academy, has canvassed for the development and reorientation of children towards nation building. Ali made the call at the school's annual education fair in Abuja. He said that the education fair was apt as it will add value to the generality of the people.
We believe that the nation Nigeria can change and the world at large. So therefore, we started the mission of nation building by developing and orientating the minds of these children towards positive and developmental approach. We had given them the foundational part of education, and we believe education is a lifelong process. You start from childhood and even to adulthood, you are still learning. Now, we don't want to start and stop halfway. We believe that as soon as they graduate from the school here, the learning is meant to continue.
Also, the school administrator, Rangefield Preparatory School,
Well, the guest speaker at the occasion, Olajimoke, said it was important for parents' guidance to help guide the students in choosing their career path rather than be authoritative in their decisions.
What we want them to be in future. Most times we hear parents saying, oh, I want my children to do better than I did. I don't want you to feel like I did. So in doing so, a lot of them even misguide the children by putting them in that box of wanting them to be what they want them to be. So I will not blame them entirely. I would say it is the love they have for the children and their fear of, perhaps that these children shouldn't feel.
A parent, Mr. Michael Musi, called on parents not to superimpose their wish on their children but create a platform for them to choose their driven career.
Parents
news around the world, helicopter-borne United States troops working with Syrian Kurdish-led forces have captured an Islamic State provision official in Syria, the U.S. military disclosed. Now, the ISIS official, identified as Bata, was involved in planning attacks on detention centers and manufacturing improvised explosive devices. Neither civilians nor U.S. forces were killed or injured in the operation carried out with the help of Kurdish-led Syrian Democratic Forces. The raid comes a day after 4 U.S. troops were wounded as they conducted another raid to kill a senior IS group leader in northeastern Syria. It, however, led to the death of an IS leader identified as Hamza al-Humsi, who U.S. Central Command said oversaw the group's deadly terrorist network in eastern Syria. While tens of thousands of Israelis rallied nationwide for the 7th straight week, days before Parliament is due to vote on controversial legal reforms advanced by the government. The proposed overhaul being pushed by Prime Minister Benjamin right-wing government would allow Parliament to overrule Supreme Court decisions with a simple majority and boost politicians' power over judicial appointment. A crowd marched through Central Town, with many of them waving Israeli flags and chanting democracy. Well, an Israeli missile strike early Sunday killed 15 people and destroyed a building in a Damascus neighborhood home to much of Syrian security apparatus, a war monitor revealed. The Syrian Observatory for Human Rights said the strike, which hit close to an Iranian cultural center, had killed 15 people, including civilians. Since the beginning of the war in Syria in 2011, Israel has carried out hundreds of airstrikes against its neighbors, primarily targeting positions of the Syrian army, Iranian forces, and Lebanon's allies of the Syrian regime. But it rarely hits presidential areas of the capital. Sunday strike hit in Kharkiv, home to senior officials, security agencies, and intelligence headquarters. Heads of state have gathered at the African Union headquarters to kick off a two-day summit as the continent reels from a spate of military coup and the coronavirus pandemic. The summit, starting on Saturday, also comes as a 55-member bloc faces pressure to push for a ceasefire in host country Ethiopia, where a 15-month war has killed thousands of people and the United Nations says driven hundreds of thousands to the brink of starvation. The bloc formed 20 years ago to promote international cooperation and harmonize member state policies has struggled to address 6 coups or attempted coup in Africa over the past 18 months, and the power grabs are high on the summit agenda. That's all in NEWSPLUS. Many thanks for watching. I am Joy Malik. Please stay tuned and enjoy the rest of our programs. Bye for now.